Hello and welcome to another video covering Room Director 3. In this video we're going to be covering the Hotspots mode, which is the optional touchscreen. And when I say optional touchscreen, I mean for the main projector in the room. So it allows the users to interact with the scenarios by way of touch on the projection screen. Now, what we've got here is I've pre-constructed a scenario because we've already been through this in the last video, and this is basically a multiple choice scenario, and we'll just show you what it is first of all. So this is just centered around music videos, and there is sound in this, but I've disabled the sound because it's easier than have me talking over it. So we have, as before with the multiple choice menus, the same structure. We have an initial menu or choice, so this is quite an obvious one. It's four different types of music, and we've got a little intro video there, and you can see we've got four color coded choices: Elvis, classical, dubstep with Skrillex, and then Michael Jackson at the bottom right. You can see we have the four choices of video. So we've got Elvis, Viva Las Vegas there, you can see is the first one, represented by red. We've got Holst, which is representing the green, classical. We have Michael Jackson, Smooth Criminal, which is obviously the purple one. And we have Skrillex, which is the yellow one. So you can see they're actually not in the right order, but it doesn't matter because we assign the jump on trigger. So this is exactly the same as building a jump on trigger multiple choice scenario. So we have our menu, our introduction, and you can see it's called intro vid there. We have a little gap, then we have our first choice, second choice, third choice, and so on. So I've left this one to do. So Elvis, as we said, is represented by the red, as you can see in the preview screen. And the way this works is we actually assign this to a normal talker, and we didn't mention this before because it wasn't relevant, but whenever we drop down, so you can see we put the drop line in the correct place. We're going to drag down our color selector deluxe. We're going to select the option for jump on trigger and red, because it's color coded red, and we've never ticked this before, so it says allow hotspots to activate this command. And that's what we need to do if we want to use the hotspot. So the hotspot piggybacks off another talker. It doesn't matter what that talker is, but that's what the way we've decided to make it work. And the reason for that is you may have a user that can't interact with the screen as well as other users. For example, some of the projection screens we have are 7 feet high, and you may have a wheelchair user that can't reach the top of the screen, and you don't want to deny them the ability to interact with the scenario. So the talker that you assign will still work as well as the screen. So if you have it assigned to the color selector, if they press red, it'll go to red, or if they press the screen, it'll go to red. So you still have the option of both, but you must tick this little box. That's important. And just going to say at the start of each one of these we tick the box, and then you see we've got color selector jump on trigger purple. Just edit that, tick the box, and finally the jump on trigger yellow for the Skrillex, edit that and tick the box. Now this is where things change slightly. So as before, we have the introduction video, and what we would have done before was put a pause at the end of this so that it played, and then stopped, and it stayed in the menu waiting for that jump on trigger command. Works slightly differently with our hotspot commands. Hotspots, when you put them in, automatically pauses the video at that point to give the user the opportunity to interact. So we have the we're going to place the the hotspots right at the end of this intro, so I'm just going to hit pause there. So we've got the drop line where we want it. You can see in the preview screen it says choose your music, and we're going to drop down the hotspots and see what this command looks like. Okay, so I've already actually got this filled in, but I'm going to delete these out and start from the start and explain what way this works. This will be a little bit subject to change because this is a new feature, and we're trying to decide if this is the best way or if there's a better way to do this. But of course, we will inform you if we change anything. So the first thing we need to do is say the number of hotspots, and the number of hotspots is determined always up to 8 because that's the maximum buttons we have on any of our talkers. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And this choice, we've obviously got 4 choices. I'm going to pick that. Need to make sure that we've got the right color. So we do have red. Yes, that's the Elvis one. Green is the classical. Yellow is the Skrillex, and purple is the Michael Jackson. Now, this is where things may or may not change. We'll just see over time how this pans out. So we have some boxes with 000 in them, and you can manipulate these numbers. So the first boxes here are the X and Y coordinates, and X and Y always goes from the top left. So if you have 0 and 0, that's the very top left of the screen. If you put 100 and 100 in those, that would be the very bottom right. So X is the horizontal coordinates, and Y are the vertical. So if you put 50-50, that would be in the center of the screen. Now the software measures it from the top left corner of the box, and I'm just going to demonstrate that now. So if I leave these at 0, 0, that's going to keep our box at the very top left. Then we have the widths, and these numbers are representative of the percentage of the size of the screen. So if I said 50 here and 50 here, that would mean that the box, the hotspot box, is going to be 50% the width of the screen and 50% the height of the screen. And we're just going to do that one for now so that we can show you what that looks like. So we click OK. If we hit play and just hit pause again there, you can see in the preview window we've now got a bounding box in red, and if the user touched anywhere within that bounding box, it's the same as pressing the red jump on trigger, so it would go to the Elvis video. Now you guys can decide yourselves how big or small you want to make these bounding boxes. I'm going to edit this to show you a little better. So say for example we wanted to make that box a little smaller. So we said we only want to make it 25% of the height, 25% and 25%. We click OK, and you can see it makes the bounding box much smaller. Okay, and what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to delete this out, and I'm going to show you in a blank part of the screen, just here for example, just so we can see it more clearly. So we're just going to pick a little blank bit of video, and I want to show you the different ways you could use this. So another way you could use this is, say for example, it takes a little maths in your head, but it's not difficult once you get your head around it. So say for example we wanted to have 4 horizontal vertical stripes for our choices. So we would still start 0, 0. We'd make the width 100%, and we would make that 25. Then for green, we would always keep the Y at 0 because we're always starting at the top, and we would make this 25% across in. We would still, sorry, I've done that the wrong way around actually, that should be 25 wide and 100 height, apologies. So that would be the same. So if you're doing 4 the same height and the same width, you can do all those like that. And what you're just doing is, so this one would be 50% of the way across the screen, and this one would be 75% across the screen. So they all start at the top, so Y is 0. They're all 1/4 or 25% the width of the screen, and they're all 100% the height of the screen. We start at 1/4 of the way across, or sorry, well, we start at the very left hand edge, then we start at 1/4 of the way, then we start at halfway, and then 3/4. So we just press OK, and we'll see what that looks like on screen. So you can see in the preview screen we've got 1/4 is red on the left, then 1/4 is green, 1/4 is yellow, and 1/4 is purple. So if you were making a JPEG, for example, it's very easy to set up your choices in that way. And so it just takes a little bit of mental arithmetic to set up these boxes, but once you've done it once or twice, it becomes relatively easy. So we'll just get rid of that, and we're going to set it up for this actual scenario. So we'll go back to the portion, so just get rid of those. So we'll get back to the portion of the video that we actually want to put these bounding boxes in. So got your music coming in there. So it's not playing ball with me. So yeah, our little menu comes in. We'll let the intro play in. I'm just going to turn the sound on a second here. So you can see we've just got like a radio tuning type sound. It's a little sound effect to make it fun. And we've got that fading out towards the end. And we just hit pause there. Okay, so we drag our hotspots down. So you can see it's just remembered those, but we just want to get rid of those. Back in there. So our Elvis is top left, and that's the red. So we're going to say we want 50 and 50. We're going to make these all the same size. 50 and 50, 50 and 50, and it means the users don't have to be very precise on what they're pressing. Okay, you can decide if you want to make it more precise. For the green is at the top right, so it's at the top, so this is going to stay 0, and this is going to change to 50 because we want it halfway across. The yellow is at the bottom right, so we want it 50% of the way down the screen, but it's at the very left, so we keep that at 0. And the purple is at the bottom right, so we want it at 50 and 50. So if we press OK and then hit play, and you can see we've got our bounding boxes. We have our red at the top left, our green at the top right, yellow at the bottom left, and purple at the bottom right. So at any point now, there's two ways the users can do this. They can go up to the screen and simply touch within the zone they want, or they can click it on the color selector deluxe in this case, or it could be the iPad or the cube, as long as it's the talker that you've chosen. And say as soon as they click or press on screen, you see it jumps to that video. We've put restart commands at the end of each of these videos, like any other multiple choice scenario. So if we skip forward and let that video play through, don't want to sit the whole way through an Elvis video. The restart command will skip back to the start, and then we've got back to our main menu. Place through the main menu, and towards the end we'll get back to our hotspot command and it will pause again. Nice. Okay, and that's how the hotspot command works. This is a very obvious multiple choice, but you can use this again in more real life scenarios. So say for example you had a video of someone wanting to cross the road. It's the same setup. You'd have the introduction of someone walking down the road. At some point during that video you would want to represent the users with a choice. So the choice would be crossing the road somewhere safe or crossing the road somewhere unsafe, and you would shoot the video in such a way that, say for example, the left hand side showed busy traffic and the right hand side showed a pedestrian traffic crossing. And at that point you would do your hotspot command and you would make the left hand side red and the right hand side green, and then you could make a video of the consequences of each. So maybe the wrong choice going through the traffic would have someone swerving and beeping the horn, and the right choice would show the person crossing the road safely. So it's just bound by your imagination how you use this, but the function is always the same. So you build the scenario exactly the same as a multiple choice jump on trigger scenario. So we put our intro, choice A, choice B, choice C, choice D, and so on. We put our jump on triggers at the start of each of these videos, and at the end of each one we put our restart commands. The extra check that you have to do is on the jump on triggers. I'll just show you that. Is we tick this little box that says allow hotspots to activate this command, and then the final step is actually at the end of the intro of the menu screen, is actually putting the hotspots in. If you have any questions or you want further tuition on the coordinates and so on, I'm sure we can put a little document together, but I think most people will pick it up pretty easily through just a little bit of mental arithmetic and, to say, well, a little bit of trial and error. Okay, thanks now. See you next time. Bye.